In this episode of the Modern Warrior podcast, I welcome back Stephen Kelly from 3 Books Left, a comedian, performer, father, and creator of the viral Creamy Pints character. Stephen was actually the first guest I ever invited back onto the show, and for good reason. Our first chat only scratched the surface, and in this conversation, we go much deeper. We talk about the challenges of fame, identity, fatherhood, mental health, and the pressure of keeping up appearances, online and off. Stephen opens up about the strain of performing, the struggle to find balance, and his journey through burnout, guilt, and growth. This is raw, real, and incredibly relatable for anyone trying to keep all the plates spinning. Let's dive in. Stephen Kelly, absolutely delighted to have you back on the Modern Warrior podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here once again.
You are the
beautiful room.
You're the first man that I've had back in this studio.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so that says a lot in itself. And we had a great conversation the last time we sat down and spoke. And part of the reason I wanted to get you back in was because I felt we were just getting into the thick of it.
I remember it's one podcast that I felt that it took a while to get loosened up, and I was just loosening up, and then it was over. So I said I'd come back. So
yeah, I felt that as well, and I believe part of the conversation we were having last time was the challenge of this persona that you've created, the Mr. Creamy Pints.
100%. And part of the problem is that an awful lot of people just see, because the Creamy Pint videos go viral. A lot of them go viral around the world. Even in the tour in Australia, it's probably the most thing that is said back to me or shouted back to me on the street or whatever, Creamy from Pints. And I've created a rod for my own back. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a Friday joke that just went a little bit on a bit too long. That went well one Friday, and when I didn't do it the second Friday, people were looking for it, and I thought I'll do one now on the next Friday, and then suddenly it became this thing. But what's happened now is I've made this character that everyone thinks that I'm going around drinking creamy pints every single day, which is not the truth at all. If I could, my dream is to get 6 months maybe without drinking at all and get back to the fitness levels that I had even last year, or definitely the year before, that fitness. And I don't get me wrong, I love drinking pints and having the crack with the lads on a night out, but I also like being healthy and fit. And when you have that balance, when you are healthy and fit, and you're aesthetically looking good, and your mind is in a really strong place, well, then you feel like you deserve a night out with the lads or a weekend. But when it's every weekend, especially at the live shows, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and I have my own will, but it's next to impossible to not have a pint when they're being fired at you left, right, and centre. They don't even the venues land with pints to me as soon as I walk in the door. There's no, would you like a drink? Some places land with trays, like 4 pints at a time, and I'm the only one that drinks them. Pete sometimes does, but again,
you need to bring some alcoholics.
Yeah, maybe might be a good thing. But like that as well, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me.
Yeah,
and I can't say no. But it's like when you're trying to psych yourself up for a live show, and you're in the zone then of the character, or you're getting into the zone of the character, so you can't be a dry ball either. So it all goes hand in hand. I would love to have the balance. I would love to be in a mental place where I can go to a live show, be buzzed up naturally, right, and have the energy and everything to go with it. And sometimes I am. Don't get me wrong, like, it's not every time. But sometimes, they're being fired at you, and we'll have them, and they're having the crack with everyone. And that's just the thing in Ireland. And it's not just in Ireland. It was in Australia as well, and it was in the USA before that, because it's a very Irish fan base that we have. It's a lot of Irish venues that we'd have in these English-speaking countries, and that's just the culture. That's our culture, and that's not saying it's a bad thing, but it's not saying it's a great thing either.
But when they see you, they don't see Stephen Kelly.
Yeah,
they see
a creamy
there's
pint.
3 bucks left
Yeah,
who loves creamy pints.
Yeah, 100%.
So how
unless they're
do
avid followers of me,
Yes,
and then
yes,
they
yes.
know they're only filling a niche of a Friday.
Yes.
So-
But it's a massive part of the character. isn't
Yeah,
it?
well, 100%.
I mean, it created the character.
It created a character.
So it's almost like the foundation of the character.
Again, one of the attacks that we'll say trolls or haters have online is, oh, stick to the drinking creamy pints. I mean, and it's one of the it's like it's such a weak argument. Before I got the creamy pint character going, I was like, we were big. We were already getting big. This is just something that's, it was on its way to where it is now. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just that the creamy pint thing just blew it up quicker.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm never going to regret it because it was always great crack. And it's just as hard to come up with the same joke just told a different way than it is to write a brand new joke. I mean, I'm telling you. To try and tell the same joke with a different angle or something different every Friday is as hard as coming up with a new sketch. So
In terms of the same idea, but
yeah,
with a different
the same
twist.
idea, just a different twist.
That's more difficult.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Like there's 9 or 10 ones that were just easy.
Yeah,
But now it's becoming, you have to get very creative now to
yeah.
have a different spiel that leads into the
Because they're almost
creamy pint.
expecting the creamy.
100%.
pint, so
And sometimes I throw ones up that are like nearly similar, and I could go one way,
Yeah.
and then I'll say something completely different. So, and
Yeah.
I know that's what they're expecting. I don't know.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually watching one of your videos today. It was one of the more recent ones you put up where you were talking about you watching your neighbor through the window.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
and then the urge came over you, and the hand started dropping. And I said, "I bet he's gonna fucking pull up a creamy pint
Right,
now."
yeah,
but it went somewhere else. So that was quite
That
interesting.
was
I thought,
was actually that was a sketch that it was longer that I done it on the live stage, but that was like 2.5 minutes long. That sketch.
Yeah.
But I wrote that just before COVID for the live show, and I only ever used it at the live shows. But I used it so much now that I said I'll bury it.
Yes, okay. So that was kind of letting it go.
Yeah, I just let
leave
it
it
go.
out there.
That was
Yeah.
when I done that, I was like, that's it. I'm not going to use that on the
okay.
live shows anymore. When sometimes I'd use it because I have about 4 hours material in my head. It's just it's to put it all together in a flow for the live show. Like sometimes a half an hour before the show, I don't know which direction I'm going to go with it, and I have this, we'll say 15 minutes to open up, and I open up my own show, and I'll feel the crowd, and I there's 3 or 4 different jokes in it. And then from there, I'll know what type of audience it is for
so
me to
you're
come
sort
out in
of
the second half.
testing them with those
yeah,
jokes at the beginning
exactly.
to see what
I'll see if
brings them
there's
to life.
if there's a political crowd,
All right.
if they
Yeah.
like the politics stuff,
Yeah.
good and well, and if they just like having the crack and softer kind of jokes, I'll feed off that. And how Irish are they? Like, what sort of an Irish crowd is it? So
So
it's good.
So is that almost as though there's 4 different shows beneath those 4 different jokes?
Yeah, 100%. So
okay.
we have what I call pillars. Pillars of the show that you feed the rest off, and that's the way it's developed. But the show is actually it's changing little bits here and there. Instead of writing a brand new show, we've just changed it around all the time.
Okay.
And there's new sketches, so we go with what's happening, like in recent times. So it's observational humor.
Right. So you bring in some of the political agendas
Yeah,
that are happening
100%.
today and all that kind of crack.
100%. And I think that's the test of a proper. I hate calling us comedians, 'cause I much prefer just entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to go down the comedian route, it's to be able to make fun of something that's just after happening. You know what I mean? That's what makes or breaks. And then Pete, then he's very good with crowd interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's able to feed off people, and he'll look at someone without insulting them. He'll make a joke about their hat or their jacket, or he's bald. So if you're, if you're bald, it's like something in between, and or if you've fancy nice white teeth, he loves going on about Turkey, going out to Turkey and that sort of thing. So he's brilliant with crowd interaction as well. So it can change. You could go one night, and then you could go back the second night, and it could be 50 or 60% completely different.
Yeah,
it all depends on the crowd as well. The crowd is the most important people in the room, right? You could be nailing it. You could be absolutely nailing it on stage, and if the crowd isn't with you, if they're not on the same frequency, if you can get the crowd right at your frequency, you're in for a great night. And that's just not like Three Bucks Left show or my show.
Yeah,
that's every show, every entertainer. And the same with music. If you can get the crowd on your side from the beginning, once you've lost them, that is it. It is nothing's going to bring them back. It's a very rare person or very rare show that you can lose a crowd at the beginning and somehow bring them back.
That's happened
at the end. It happened. It's very difficult. It happened. There was one. I was trying to think, and just first one that came to my head was a show in Birmingham that we done. And I don't know if I mentioned this the last time, but we lost the crowd in the first half. We put on a great comedian, but it wasn't his crowd, and they crucified him. And instead of accepting it, he kind of fought with them. He and you don't do that. You make your excuses, or you just
play along with it.
Yeah. But he didn't. He tried to fight back with them, and they were just too strong for him. And then Pete went out. At the time, I'd come on in the second half. Pete went out then to try and win them round, and it just wasn't working. And I went on for a little bit just before the interval, and even I couldn't win them round because they were gone. They were absolutely gone. And we had an interval, and I went back, and I thought, I'm just going to absolutely nail this. And I went out, and from the beginning, I got so loud from the beginning, and it just brought them all down again, and blew it away for the second half. And then the other two boys came up, and they blew it away. It's just so that's when shows like that. Then I was like, I'm going to go on from the beginning, it just to lay the ground.
So you'd almost rise above the crowd to bring.
100%. Yeah. So then you just go and you kind of drowned out if it's not working, which is very rare.
Yeah.
You drowned it out and you just go with it. Because that's what you're getting paid to do.
Yeah, of course. What is that you enjoyed the most about the shows?
I love performing on live shows, especially when they're going well. Absolutely love the buzz of it. There's no drug, there's no alcohol, there's nothing else.
There's a few creamy pints though, is there?
Not even the creamy pints. When you're on stage and you have the people's attention and they're waiting on your last few words to finish off a thing, and it lands and it goes nearly silent in your head, even though the room is erupted, it goes nearly a beautiful silence in your head. And then to continue, once you have that, then you have them for the rest of the night.
Yeah, and the palm of your hand.
Completely fuck up.
Yeah, okay.
But no, it's good.
Going back to the creamy pint scenario, and it's not just that that's a challenge for you to be drinking pints on a perhaps an all too frequent basis, but you're also somebody that's big into their fitness. I mean, you've ran marathons and you've taken on these challenges.
And I use the marathons and the challenges as obviously I want to give back. I always said if I had a medium-sized platform or a big platform, that I was going to use it to give back to humankind or society or whatever, because it was always good to me. And that's the first and foremost thing. And then the second thing was for myself to put my mind in a stronger place, to clear out my mind, and that's what I use running for. But the older I'm getting, and the more busier life was getting with the live shows and everything else that was going on in between, appearances, podcasts, events, charities, the whole works. It's getting harder and harder to get the time in for the fitness, and when you're on the road, it's hard to have a proper diet or a healthy diet. And then, of course, there's all these social events where, again, it's alcohol. And if I'm seeing out and I'm having anything in my hand that's not a creamy pint, it does like, is he sick? It's, but that's my own fault. That's my own doing. I've learning lately to not to actually say no to I'll have a coffee. Actually, I was at an event in Cavan, and unfortunately there was this lovely man who was diagnosed with motor neuron, and I was asked to go up and spend an hour or two there. And I was in a bar and restaurant, beautiful bar and restaurant, and I could have easily, and I know that if it was a year ago I would have said yes, but this time around I said no. I'll just have a coffee, and I was good like that. I'm getting better at it. Sometimes the willpower isn't as strong.
Yeah.
But again, I know that I can change that myself.
Yeah.
So that's completely up to me.
Is there also part of you that wants to have the creamy pints because you're giving back to them? You're giving them what they want. You're showing.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. But I suppose the more I'm doing all these appearances and events and even the live shows, the more confidence you get without, I can
Yeah, it's a big test to go into a pub and
100%.
only have a bottle of water or
100%,
Coke or something.
The problem is I love the crack. I love having crack with pints.
Yeah.
I love having the crack with lads out in the night or the ladies out in the night. Absolutely love the crack. So,
but don't love the consequences.
Yeah, exactly. It's like physically no problem waking up in the morning. I'll still be up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. No problem. It's the mind. It's like this Catholic guilt. You're going on about running and you want to get back running and you want to get back healthy eating, but you were drinking, you had 8 or 9 pints last night, or you had 13 or 14 pints last night. Don't be caught in yourself. And you actually start whipping yourself over it mentally.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't happen if I was in a mentally stronger and physically stronger as well, because I know I piled on. We're probably the only 2 people, myself and Peter Cassidy, French Toast O'Toole, that done 5 marathons in 5 days between the 1st of January and the 5th of January and ended up putting on weight. I mean, how does that even happen? And they were the coldest days. He kept saying, we need to get the fuel in. And that was all good and well. But we were like, I'd say it was about a half a stone heavier after finishing the five marathons. But Pete's like that, but it's all healthy food, but there's just too much of it.
Yeah.
And I usually get such a bounce mentally and physically from doing these challenges, and I just didn't get that this time. I don't know why. I didn't get that bounce that I got doing on the 5th day. The 4th day I was getting there. The 4th day with a really good time. These were the 4 coldest days that came all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first 3 days the first 5K was just pure ice. Like we're just slipping along, and that's tough on the feet and the legs. And by the 4th day, it kind of thawed up a bit, and we put the foot down. I got through it. I was really happy with my marathon time. And that's it. Usually then it gets easier. The last day is actually easier because you're on the home stretch. And it was a Sunday. And Pete turned around to me and said, we're nearly there, 1 more day, and we're away with it. And we were doing the video in the morning to say we're starting off, and that was grand. And I was uploading it, and it was wherever we were on the Greenway, it was in the middle of nowhere. And it takes a while for the videos to upload. The signal is terrible. So I'm not going to shoot off until everything's uploaded, because that's important too. When you're doing a charity run, you have to let people know and try and get people to share the link and everything like that. That's fine. So as I was waiting for it to upload, I was kind of scrolling on the phone, and he just happened to look down at my phone as we were walking towards where we were starting. And he goes, "Oh, that's such and such a one. They did, after all the sharing that you've done for them, they never shared anything about the charity, did they?" And I know what he was doing. He was trying to put fire in my belly. He was trying to get me buzzed up and fired up for this last day. And usually it'd work. And I said, don't worry about it. I said, they're probably they were busy enough at their own thing. And I was like, oh, look, your man never, he didn't share anything either. And he'd be the first one now that'll ask you to, if he's doing a live show and that. And next thing, that was grand. And after about 3 or 4 people, he was like, no, do you know what? You're getting very negative, Pete. And I know what I even said it to him. I know what you're trying to do. And I was putting it to the back of my head anyway, this is the last day. After about 3 or 4K, I was getting cold. We weren't running very fast as we had done on the 4th day. And after about 3 or 4K, I was thinking to myself, do you know what? Pete's right. Your man didn't share anything about and all the sharing I done for them. And neither did your man, and neither did she. And I got this, like, it was like a little ember that started getting bigger and smouldering and smouldering. And suddenly there was a big raging fire in my head. I was like, actually, the charity never shared it either. I was like, what the heck am I doing here? So I got very, very negative that day. And the rest of the 37K was torturous. Absolutely torturous. It was the hardest day's challenge of all the challenges that I've done, where I let something that was so small in my head, and I just let it kept building up and building up and building up.
You were stuck in your head, though.
Stuck in my head all the way. And of course, the weather didn't help either that day. It was a cold wind, and it was just torturous. But we got there in the end.
What's the bounce that you talking about? Like, what define the bounce?
A bounce is like a feel good factor. It makes you stronger in your head. That I've got a sense of satisfaction, a sense of that I'd done something good, that it was worthwhile, that physically I was in a good place, mentally I was stronger for starting it on Monday to when I was on Friday, and this will set me up for the rest of the year. We've done this challenge every single year, or a challenge to start off, since 2019, even over the COVID years. Except last year. And last year was it was crazy. It was show after show. We were turning up, we were just getting to the shows, and so everything was great on the live shows. But to get there, the stress, everything, time management was off the charts. No time with my kids or family, making double booking myself, letting people down, just stretching too much. And I put it down to not doing the charity or the challenge on the 1st of January, right? So I thought this way I'm going to do the 5 marathons in the 5 days. Usually we do 1 marathon on January the 1st, and then later on in the summer we do 5 marathons in 5 days. But I said, you know what? I'm going to do the 5 marathons in the 5 days, the first week in January, thinking that this was going to set me up for the year.
It sort of takes you away from the work and the stress and the pressure.
100%. Yeah. So it takes it away.
Separation.
Complete separation. And just time to get into your own head. And it didn't have the same effect this year. And I was disappointed with it. And it took me until, I'd say, we were coming back from Australia, where my head said, everything's going grand, Stephen. You're being very hard on yourself for starters. And probably I don't worry, but I just wanted Australia to go, the shows to go very, very well. They did. The shows were incredible. New Zealand, bar the Melbourne show, we'll talk about that again. But again, to most people, it felt like it went grand. But all the shows
we'll have to revisit this later on. Yeah.
Some people, some of the shows were the best we ever done. The 2 in Perth, the 1 in Sydney. There was a couple of in New Zealand were absolutely incredible. The scenery was going great. The tour was going great, but it was busy. People think we were having a great time on a holiday. We weren't. We were traveling 6 and 7 hours a day. We missed 2 flights, which ended up costing us a financial fortune. See, there's 3 of us. Remember, there's 3 of us. And so it's not just one person missing a flight, it's 3 people missing a flight. And it was and people think, oh, you were out in the drinking pints. No fault of our own. And something that we just couldn't have foreseen. And we missed it by 10 minutes. And the gate was closed for 10 minutes. And it's not like the plane wasn't going for 50 minutes. But in these countries, if anyone's watching this and you're doing a tour of New Zealand or getting to Australia or the Middle East or the East or whatever, they're not as flexible as they are in Dublin. It is, if they say 3 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock. Be there at 2:30. Mm-hmm. But it won't, the nod and a wink doesn't work in other countries.
So even though the gate was closed, that plane wasn't leaving for 50 minutes?
50 minutes, yeah. And not a sinner.
So you're just standing there watching the plane?
In Queenstown in New Zealand, our last show of the tour that would have been the original tour, would have been our last show to get back to Australia. Then we were asked to do a festival in Melbourne. And I was glad that I went back to Melbourne for a second show. And then we ended up doing another kind of small appearance in Melbourne. So we ended up doing 3 shows in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. The first show was a disaster. But it cost us like €5,000, 8,000 Australian dollars by missing that flight by 10 minutes.
Ouch.
Yeah, and we missed on the way on getting down there as well. We missed a flight, and we ended up in Bali for a night. It was actually a happy accident because Bali was an experience. We were only there for 24 hours, but it was great to experience Bali. I never.
You'll be bringing your tour there next.
Oh, if I thought I could get a show out there, I would, because everything is so cheap. Like 50 pence for drinks, dinners, €2, like fresh fish out of the tank for 3 euros. Nuts.
So just going back to the difficulty that you had with the marathons, not getting the bounce, being stuck in your head. What was the realization that came to you when you were coming back from Australia in terms of why that happened?
Just, I was like, listen, the tour was a roaring success. 90 of all the shows that we done across the board, it was a 94.3% sold out tour. And the only reason that probably the couple of percentages that didn't sell was maybe in New Zealand, there was maybe 1 or 2 shows that maybe we done about 8 or 9 shows, and we should have only done about 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then one of the shows in Australia was put off because of a cyclone. And so it was put off to the day after St. Patrick's Day. That was in Brisbane. And we lost about 140 tickets because it was a Tuesday, the day after St. Patrick's Day, which would have been a lot of Irish people not bothering to go for a second day on a Tuesday. And so I was delighted with myself, and I was like, "You've it done now. Why are you so hard on yourself?" And I had been so stressed all year, and I don't usually stress for that long. I usually, like I said, the runs sort me out. But it just didn't happen this year. That mental block was always there, or that mental anguish that I don't usually have. And
a burden.
Yeah, it was like a burden. And I was probably carrying a burden in the back of my head that it's not just me that I'm bringing down to Australia. I'm bringing down Pete and Martin as well. I'm taking Martin away from his kids and Pete away from the farm as well. So this has to work, which it did. And bar the couple of hiccups missing the two flights, but I was able to look back and say that neither of them were our fault. We done everything that we were asked to do and more. And for us, it was it was a great thing and a great test of friendship when we went down. We spent 5 weeks together between the 5 days in Dubai, then on to Australia, New Zealand, back to Australia. 5 weeks, just over 5 weeks, and we were stronger as a friendship, the three of us, the day we came back to Ireland as the day we left from Ireland. And that's after
it was going to go one of both
the
ways,
other.
wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's something to be said, to live in each other's pockets for 5 weeks and still come back strong without killing each other. Although myself and Martin came close once in the halfway through the Sydney show. Our biggest show, 700 people, 650 paid tickets, and about 50 people that were invited and guest list, and the production team were there that brought us down, and a few other, we'll say, dignitaries that were just given free passes, about 700 people. And show was going unbelievable. And next thing, Martin just went completely off script. Completely off script. And then we went in we both came in for the interval, and he was like, "Oh, that went well, didn't it?" And I just started. I was like, "We've had 6 or 7 unbelievable shows. Like we've fine-tuned it." And it was like the last 3 shows were incredible. The 2 shows in Perth were incredible. We got it nailed down. The show in Adelaide was absolutely incredible. We were going to have the same format tonight, and he completely went off. I went nuts.
Were you on stage with him when he went off script?
When I say off script, I mean it's not scripted as such, but I go on to open up the show. Pete does a little bit. Then when we're doing the international shows, Martin goes on then and he does about 20 minutes of music with a couple of little anecdote stories in the middle, kind of in between songs.
Yeah,
just to break it up, because it's very comedy, very hard hitting comedy, and you have to make these conditions with Martin because he has ADHD and he has it really bad. He's an absolute genius. I love the man to bits, but he's like a wound up coil.
Yeah.
And if you let him loose too much, he just completely just goes out like that. And we were trying to rein him back in. We had him reined back in. We had the show tight, the biggest crowd that we've had so far. And next thing he went on and he started talking. And he's meant to go straight into music, really. He started talking, and after about 2 minutes, Pete was like, "Oh, he needs to get back into the music now again." 3 minutes pass, no, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Next thing, he starts going down this rabbit hole. And next thing, he starts on about people in Swinford. Like, you're into a crowd of 700 people in Sydney. I'd say 5 of them know where Swinford is, and they'd be your cousins that are here. They don't know. They don't care about Swinford.
Yeah.
And you could tell they were starting to get up and go to the toilet. They were starting to go to the bar. They were starting.
You're watching this from backstage. You can
see it. Yeah. And next thing, 17 minutes before he started the music, and then I was like, "Oh!" But the first half is already a long show. Like it's way too long to start off with. It really is 2.5 hours long sometimes. And in comedy, you need people's attention. If you're doing music, you'll get away with it. People can dance and talk away in the background and they're still listening to the music, and that's fantastic. But comedy, you need to grab people's attention. If you don't have it, you're wasting your time. And then we developed this, that after he does the 20 minutes of music, I go out there and we have a little bit of back and forth. And I'm sure that's what he was expecting. And I just walked on and I was like, "Right, we're calling an interval." And I done it in a little bit more entertainer way than that. But and they went back, and then the two of us just started at each other, and it was a full 15 minutes of just back and forth. The two, Pete and Ethan, the manager, left the room, but I could see Pete kind of waiting at the door in case it got physical. Like it was heading that way, but it'd never get that far.
Yeah.
But it was. Do you know what? Maybe there was a little bit of tension building between the two of us. Up to that point, and it just completely cleared the air, and that's a healthy thing. If you can clear the air with someone, not just a best friend, but a work colleague, or a neighbor, or someone in the family, or someone that you're doing an event with, or organizing something with, like maybe a stag do, or I'm just thinking of things here. And if there's no point in letting it fester, because then you're only going to have this resentment. So it's sometimes it's a good thing to let it all out. Yeah. Let it all out, and especially when you're dealing with people that have big egos, or they're alpha males, and it's primal.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Like two bulls in the field, one of them thinks they're better than the other.
Is there part of that you struggle with in terms of you perhaps being, let's call it maybe the alpha of the group, where you are the leader, you are the one that sort of people more so go to see, and then these guys are following you, and then this challenges them, and they want to...
That's the way it's kind of gone now, whereas a few years ago it would have been the other way around. And sometimes maybe Martin can't, and he'll have no problem me saying this, because we've discussed it. Yeah. Sometimes he's not able to make the transition. And I don't mind. I don't care. At the end of the day, I couldn't give a monkey's who's as long as the show is going well, and I don't care who's on the top of the billboard. As long as the show is going well and everyone's making a few pounds and everyone's going home happy, I really don't care whose name is at the top of the bill, or who people are coming to see, as long as they're coming to see the three of us. And we put on a hell of a show, and it's full of energy. But sometimes that was I could feel that was starting to creep in a little bit, and then it just all happened. Of course, it had happened halfway through our biggest show of the tour, but after that, then it was like nothing happened, and we just got on with it. But I'm like that anyway. If I have a fight with someone, and it's settled there and then, it's as if it never happened, and that's a great trait. Have done with it, have it out. If it goes your way, good and well. If it doesn't go your way, well, there's nothing more you can do about it. Don't keep bringing it back in again. Mm-hmm. You had your shot, and whatever it is now, it is, and that's as simple as that. I hate people that dig things up from that were buried. There's no need for it. Have it out, get it done with, and don't hold no grudges. Mm-hmm. And I don't hold grudges.
It takes guts to do that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's a great trait.
Yeah.
And another great trait is, when you're wrong, put up your hand and say you're wrong. Admit to being wrong. And people have completely lost the skill of doing that and the ability to do that, especially online. If you say something that you make a comment online and you are proven wrong, you can't come back with a different argument, or a skiddy remark. Put your hand up, and most people, proper decent people, will say fair play to you for owning
respect
it. Own your mistake.
Yeah.
Own what you've done wrong. And on the flip side of it, don't be afraid to take the plaudit when things go right as well. The Irish are very good at doing good things and think, it was nothing. No, you're grand. Take it. You've done something very good. But don't rim it either. Don't go on 10 years later saying, well, do you remember the time I won the 100 meters dash?
When I was 12 years old.
Yeah. There's only so much you can squeeze out of something.
Yeah. How do you manage this beast that you created in terms of your own personal life? Like, this is just a small part of Stephen Kelly. So there's many other parts of you.
I've kids. I have the live shows. I do a bit of plastering every so often. I have a lot of outgoings. I remember before, 5 kids to three different women, and they're all fabulous. They're all great kids. The whole works, but it creates a busy life, and I'm all hands on deck. It's me that'll be there to bring them to college or bring them to school or whatever it was and has been, if I can, possibly at all. And if I don't, I feel really guilty that I'm not there. My mother has been my rock. She has been there through all of them. And none of the 3 mothers can say, will say, not that they can say, they would never say they know the value of my mother. She has let me have the life I've had. But I've always tried to be there. So to be there for them, have the live shows, do the live shows, keep up the social media as well, because as social media, we don't use MCD. We were our own captains of our own ship. That's the way we wanted it in the beginning. Yes, maybe it was a lot smaller in the beginning, but I still want control. I want control over it. I brought a lad in called Ethan Croak, and he's become a very good friend. Probably too good of a friend. I always said, if you have a manager or you're working with someone that's meant to be there, that's meant to pull you back, and also when things go wrong, you can say, well, that's your fucking fault. Now we've become
too friendly.
Yeah, it gets too friendly, but we're going to go with it. It's we're not going to bring up the ring of trust now, or the circle of trust, as Martin Maloney would call it. And it's going well.
But to answer that question, how do you manage it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I really it's just I've a strong mentality, and that's why I need to get back getting back to fitness, getting back to doing the running.
Do you feel that you talked about keeping things in control? Do you feel like sometimes you lose control?
Oh, 100%. Like time management, like an awful habit, and I'm getting better at it, was agreeing to like 3 or 4 things at the same time. I mean, it's nuts. And instead of, one thing I've learned over the last year is stop taking on so much, because you end up fighting fires. You end up giving a small bit of yourself to everyone and pleasing no one, instead of giving all yourself for whatever time that you have to one person and doing it right. Mm-hmm. And the other 3, if they really want to wait, well, they'll wait, and it'll come good when it comes good. And that's basically it. Whatever you're doing in life, do it right. Don't do it half-arsed. And don't be lazy about it either. I mean, if you keep making strives, and always, when you're putting your name to something, give it everything. Give it everything.
The more energy you put into something,
the
more
you'll get it back
of a reward you're going to receive. So if you're only giving little bits of yourself, you're actually giving more of your time away.
You're giving all your time away.
Little bit and all your time away, but then receiving very little in return. Whereas if you put all your energy into one thing, less time, over quantity, more reward.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. When we choose to do one thing, we're choosing not to do something else though. So
that's it. So
how do you manage that?
You have to see which is the most thing you can give to and get value out of, without being ruthless. And I'm not just talking financially there either. There's an awful lot of things that there's no financial gain to it, but it might be good for your head. It might be good for your fitness. It might be good to get your name out into that area of the world. So you have to that's when you have to sit in the evening time or lie in bed and think, what is the most thing that I can give to, and give 100% to myself to, what, and then don't be afraid also to try out new things. If you still remain in the same comfort zone all the time, that's not progression. That's just drifting. That's just maintenance. That's all that's doing, and all that's doing is massaging your heading and saying, "Oh, you're working, you're doing it." You know, that's fair play to you. But if you're not afraid to change it up every so often, and it mightn't work, but you can always say that you tried that and it didn't work. But don't let it put you off trying something new the next time. And you still have your stables.
Yeah.
You know, your
you seem to be somebody that thrives off the discomfort. I mean, put
yourself
100%.
Yeah. And it's the only way you're going to grow. It's the only way you're going to grow in stature, in societal stature. It's the only way you're going to grow mentally and keep getting better and better at yourself. And never think that you've conquered it. There's always something. There's always a bigger hill. There's always a bigger river to swim. That was a bad analogy because I don't swim, but
yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
But then is there something then that you would like to be focusing on that you feel you're not having the opportunity or time to do so?
I would say family and kids. I'd love to get more time and friends. People think just because you've whatever followers it is on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, that you could never be lonely. Sometimes it's the most lonely place when you're behind the screen and you're doing a video and you're seeing all the notifications coming in and it gives you that kick, but then you turn around and you're in a room on your own, or you're in the car and everyone's busy. Everyone has either gone on holiday, maybe gone out for drinks, or they've gone for dinner with other friends, and you were there and you're there on your phone. You need a balance. It has to be a balance, because there's no point in doing this and being the great guy and everyone is having great crack with if you're not enjoying it yourself, if you're not enjoying your own life.
So is loneliness a battle sometimes?
Oh, I created that myself. There's times when I'm like, right, now I'd love to go and meet the lads, and it's 11 o'clock on Saturday night. It's too late, you know.
After you've done a
video or a live podcast, or I just got into a thing, writing out stuff online for the next show, and you're right, you're okay now, or now you're free. Now you're free to do a couple
just
of things.
Like that thing, choosing to do one thing and then choosing not to do something else. Yeah.
So, and there has to be a balance. And I know this myself. I've gone down this rabbit hole myself that only me, myself can come out of and make time for friends, because everyone has a window. I have a window. Garen Noon has a window. Rory Stories has a window. And once that window is gone, then you'll need your friends. You'll need your friends. It's like when you're growing up. It's like when you're growing up and you're dating different girls or whatever when you're in your late teens or early 20s, and suddenly you drop the lads because now you're in love and everything is going to be rose in the garden and I only need this lady for the rest of my life. You know, that doesn't last. As much as we'd all love it to last. And yes, you might be with that girl for the rest of your life, but you won't be stuck to her 24/7. You need friends, you need your family, you need a balance of people around you. You know, and that doesn't mean to say that lady mightn't be the love of your life. That's fantastic, but it would be a very boring life if it was just two people in it for forever and ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you need balance.
Yeah.
And contentment is another thing. To be content with something. If you are content, that's a beautiful feeling. And I'm sure I said that in the last podcast. I'd love to have a feeling of contentment, to know that I've done enough for the day. I done everything I could at the live show, hit all the boxes, put in enough time with the family and the kids.
You don't receive this contentment?
No, very, very rarely, and that's something that I strive to. I always use my sister Maria and her partner Aidan, who have 3 kids now and a big house, and they're happy out. If they only went out once a month, they're so content. They're not shooting the lights out. They're not worried about live shows. They're not, they're not trying to be getting bigger followers on social media. They're happy with their family, their friends, themselves. They have a lovely balance, and it's just a feeling of contentment. Sometimes I remember looking in the window at them as I was like, I don't mean yeah, I'm looking
Hello.
at the window for 2 hours. Ladder.
Uncle Stephen here.
Yeah. She's been there 3 hours. You'd be looking in the window at them, and
Metaphorically.
and they're just watching a bit of television, having their dinner on a Saturday evening, as content as can be, and it's it's a lovely feeling. Now I'm sure they have their bad days as well, of course.
There is this thing that I've come to realize for a lot of us men is our self-esteem is often based on our performances. You know, as children, sort of conditioned to believe that we're only as good as the result we get in school or a performance on the football pitch, and this is where you get the praise and the accolade and the validation. And if it went tits up, it was the opposite.
Yeah,
it was a feeling of shame, feeling of rejection, feeling of disappointment. And then this fucking crushes you. So then we become conditioned to believe that we're only as good as what we're presenting or what we're achieving, which leads us to believe that we're never good enough unless we have these things. You know, that's sort of a
it is a really, really fine balance. I mean, you have to enjoy when you win, and you have to when you lose, if you don't win, if you're not winning, you're learning. And I believe that. If you can use the losses as well, it's all about. But you're 100% right. People, I know that some people, when they lose, that's it. Or if they can't be the best at something, well, then they don't want to do it. That's not what it's about. Be as best as you can yourself. And when French toast or Peter, I always said one or the other, but I think most people know who I'm talking about. French toast, when he told me one thing before, and I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but when things aren't going well, or when you're finding a run tough, or just a day tough, just mentally, he has this cookie jar where all the cookies are things that he's achieved and done well in his life, and they're all there from as far back as he can remember. And when things are going wrong, he just reaches into the cookie jar and picks out. One of them was when we were training for the first 3 marathons from Dublin or ultramarathons from Dublin to Mayo, was we were just after doing Vicar Street. Like, to say that you performed in Vicar Street, that was one of them. You know, to even things like you won an under-14 county champ, or, you know, something like that, everything. Or you shifted that best-looking girl into the thing. Just little things, little wins. Little cookies, big cookies, the whole works. You know, I have kids, they're all cookies.
Yeah. It's the realization that you are the success. The success does not create you. You create the success. This comes from you out there versus the other way around. But for a lot of men, again, we believe it's the other way around. I've got to achieve out here so I can believe in here, instead of believe in here and you will achieve out there. You know, so it's getting, like, the reason I'm bringing this up is that contentment, I believe, is the realization that if you fucking lost everything, if the shows went, if your social media account was deleted tomorrow morning,
which is quite possible.
Yeah, and it is quite possible at the moment. And you lost your money, live shows, no more, and you lost all these things, that you can still feel that you're a good man, that you're okay.
100%. I keep saying this to people that have rang me over the years and they're going through tough times, breakups, lost businesses, whatever. The first thing that you have to work at fixing and strengthening is your own mind, is your own belief, your confidence, your self-worth. Once you have them ring-fenced and armoured, everything is possible again. You can build from absolutely nothing. Once them 4 or 5 things are strengthened and they're at 100% or close to 100%, well, then go again.
They're solidified. Yeah. You're speaking from experience here. So is there?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, you've gone through several breakups.
Some of them were clean cut, lovely. Didn't work out. Others were messy, especially when you're dealing with kids, I suppose. But we've made it work. I'm not going to say I've made it work. We've made it work, all of us, including, like, my family as well. They were always big support. Not everyone has the family that I've had, as in my mother and my father and my sisters and that, and my uncle, and even friends like Pete, Owen Colligan, Martin, Declan Fitzmaurice, Paul Regan, just listing out friends here.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to surround yourself as well with, if unfortunately you don't have a family, most people, especially Irish people, have a family behind them. But if you don't, surround yourself with 3 or 4 good people, friends from, like, just friends from
Well,
any circle.
the chances are your parents are going to pass away before your
Yeah.
before your friends do as well.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So you still have
Exactly.
those
So
people to fall back on in those difficult
100%.
times as well.
Some people say, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you are. Or
you in this position, the status that you have right now, you're going to get a lot of wannabe friends in your life, aren't you?
Oh yeah, but I've always had, or I'd like to think I've always had, a 6th sense for bullshit. And like disingenuous people, and I don't I'll be friendly straight away, but I'll have a defense up unless you can prove me otherwise. I don't distrust you, but I don't trust you either, and until you prove either way.
Yeah, because they're going to look fucking cool standing next to you, whatever
exactly.
else.
So,
which is.
And I have this, and I've seen a lot of people do it. You just have a 6th sense, or I can read auras. I can read, good intentions and bad intentions. Whether they're dressed up, sometimes they mightn't always present themselves like that. But I always like to eventually look people in the eyes, and you can tell an awful lot by someone's look or someone's eyes.
Yeah.
So I've always been lucky with. I wouldn't say I've had the biggest circle of friends, but I've had the best circle of friends.
Mm-hmm. You can read auras.
Yeah, just if you're out with someone,
read an energy.
Yeah, well, not like, I'm not saying like I can we'll say a witchcraft or anything like that, but some people have beautiful auras, and it was like the crowd I was with up in Cavan at the weekend. Like I said, I was at an event for a lad that had a diagnosis with motor neuron, and when I walked in, like, it was this just beautiful aura. He was so positive, going through one of the toughest illnesses or diseases or whatever it is, or syndromes or whatever it is. Probably doesn't have an awful lot more to live, but the positivity from was just incredible. The aura around him was just incredible, and his family and his friends. It was just absolutely. It was the most beautiful, sad thing that I was ever at. So yeah.
What was your part to play there?
I was just there, just invited there. He was a big fan of the videos. When he got diagnosed, they were the only thing that used to cheer him up. And his family contacted me to see would I come up, and I said no problem at all.
Oh, brilliant!
I said if I'm not doing a live show, I'll be there. So I had a heritage show in Humour in the morning, and then I just went straight up to Cavan.
Class.
It was a lovely evening.
Gee, that's giving back.
Yeah,
realizing that you're having that positive impact on somebody that's going through such a
listen,
time.
As I said, if I ever had a platform, I was going to give back as much as possible. So
you have to tell us what happened in Melbourne.
Melbourne was just on about frequencies in live shows. Shows are going brilliantly. We had a few shows in Ireland before we went out. They all went very well. We were actually slowed down the shows just so that we'd be fresh for Australia, because this was a big tour. Like this, we've done America before, we've done the UK before, but this was by far definitely the most organised and planned out and biggest attendances and everything like that. And we knew that all the tickets were pretty much sold out before we even went down. It was the easiest tour we've ever done ticket wise, and that's half the problem, is selling tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So we picked up a show in Dubai on the way down. Now, really, when I say a show, Gary Noonan had done it the same venue the week earlier, and he warned me. He said, you won't be able to do a show. He said, just go down and drink pints with them. He said, that's all they want. He said, it'll be a room full of people that just want pictures and pints. And we tried to do a few minutes of comedy, and they were just too wild. It was a bar venue, and all they wanted was pictures and pints. So I done about 15 minutes, and I was like, nah, it's like doing a show underwater. So I actually said, listen, I'm just going to go down drinking pints with you. And they all, hey, and I said, grand. And Martin got up and he played about an hour and a half of music. That's when Martin comes into his own.
Mm-hmm.
So I told the story about Sydney and how he went in Dubai. It worked the other way around.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it works.
Mm-hmm.
But then we missed our flight again, 10 minutes. This was the first experience of 10 minutes missing the gate in Bali. That's why we ended up in Bali.
It's not fucking Ryanair now, yeah.
Yeah, not Ryanair. And I quickly realised that I'm not dealing with Ryanair or Aer Lingus here. And that's saying something when you're wishing it was Ryanair. Got to the thing, and the reason we missed that flight, we were there in plenty time. We weren't told that we had to get a second visa. We had to get an actual visa to go from one end of the airport to the other end of the airport, because we were kind of leaving international, the check-in. We were getting a connecting flight, and so we had to go out and check back in again. It was ridiculous. So that caused us to be 8 minutes late. Landed to the check-in desk. They were laughing at us. They were like, what's this big smile on their faces. Yeah, that gate's closed. And again, 52 minutes till the plane was taken off. And no, once the gate's closed, that's it. There was no talking in the back. We ended up spending 24 hours in Bali. Now, I was fit to kill, but the two boys were like, we could take this as an opportunity just to see Bali. I'm actually delighted.
Did you got a flight to Bali, and the Bali was the connected flight to Australia? Was that it?
Yeah,
so you were stuck in Bali
from
here
Dubai.
now? Yeah. Okay. So you're in Bali.
In Bali.
Yeah.
And we still thought we'd loads of time. But it's kind of the same thing that happened in Queenstown, except for in Queenstown, we were coming back to Melbourne. From Queenstown, the most beautiful city I was ever in New Zealand. Absolutely incredible. It reminds you a little bit of Killarney and Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
And a lake in the middle. And it's not high rise or nothing. There's not many big buildings in it. Just the scenery is just insane. But the reason we missed the Queenstown flight was we had this juicy caravan or mobile home or whatever it was. And it was more trouble than it was worth. It was part of the deal, actually. We got it for free.
Yeah.
As long as we promoted it every so often. But the problem was it was a glorified high-ace. It was meant to actually hold four of us. It was only in the end there was only three of us because the manager had to go home.
Yeah.
He didn't do the New Zealand tour of it. Three big lads. It was petrol, right? We were and as I said, New Zealand was like Killarney all over the place.
Yeah,
the problem with that is it's all roads and hills up and down. So sometimes I thought we were going to have to get out and push for the last bit of the hill. That's how bad it was. And I thought New Zealand was the same size as Ireland. It's not. It's the same size as the UK. It's just a little bit longer. So we were driving from the very top of it to the very tip of it. And it has the same population as Ireland, but it's a much bigger country. It is so sparse. So it could be 110, 120 kilometers to the next petrol station. So if you miss a petrol station,
you're fucked.
You're gone.
Right. Okay.
About 4 times our hearts were in our mouths. And I reckon in the end that they have the reserve tank done in such a way that they know this is a problem. So they have it kind of designed, because we were in the reserve for about an hour at one stage. But anyway, the Melbourne show, we get to Australia. The shows are from the first Adelaide show, the 2 shows in Perth. We're flying it. We have this show down to a T. The shows are getting bigger as we're going up. It's going from 200 people to 400 people, 400 people. Then it's up to 500 people. Then it's up to 700 people. So it's getting bigger all the time. Sydney being the big one that we want to nail. Mm-hmm. The idea is that if we nail this one, we'll be down again for another one, and it could even be bigger. And it's all going in that direction. So Melbourne comes along and they were on about sweat. I go in, check out the venue. Beautiful venue. Kind of reminded me of, we'll say, a mafia movie that maybe Frank Sinatra, that kind of Frank Sinatra is up in the stage, and there's a dome and that sort of thing, and there's a big window. Yeah. There's a big window to the back, and it's kind of like the stars are coming in, but it's all tables and chairs all around, and it's looking great. But the one thing I noticed about it was it was set up for food. And I was like, the only problem is, I said, the tables are designed that people are going sitting down across from each other. And they were
like round tables or something?
Yeah, round tables.
Yeah.
Especially up the front. You wouldn't mind them down the back, but for comedy, you need a theatre atmosphere, definitely at the front.
All eyes on you.
All eyes on you. And then if whatever they wanted kind of laid out at the back or the sides, grand. And they were like, yeah, that's what the owner wants. He wants to serve food. And I was like, what? and then all the seats that should have been up the front were laid out down the back. And I was like,
Back to front.
yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. But obviously they wanted to sell food. That's grand. And I said, when the show comes on, are you going to like stop the food? And we'll stop the food, right? But they weren't going to change the tables. I said, that's a recipe for disaster. So I tried to get that changed, and they said they would, but they didn't. The only other thing was the air conditioning, which was up at the stage. It was up at the stage, and it was this big. It was like an old air conditioning unit, and it came down sort of. I could nearly put my hand on it, and it was like an airplane engine. Like, that's all I could hear. Now I know there was no one in the room bar the staff at the stage and myself. So maybe with a few bodies in it, it might dull it out, but it was very loud. I mean, I couldn't hear myself think. I said, for the show, I said, is that going to be like that? But she said, that's the only air conditioning unit we have in it. Well, I said, it's a fine balance of making people hear us, or because Melbourne was hot, even in the evening time, even at night time. So I was like, well, we might try turn it off. So it was my fault but it was the only option I had. Might turn it off the first half. So as hot as it was when I was there on my own, by the time I got out, when it had filled up, and not only had it filled up to 500 people, I still say that there was about 120, maybe 150 people that hadn't bought tickets, and they were letting them in. It was a very loose, It was a very loose setup. And that was fine, and it was fucking sweltering. Absolutely sweltering. And because the tables were up where they were, there was this like big void where people were just sat around, just like scattered like ants. And then you had mass men just lined up along the bar, big long bar to the left, and then all the way down that side and all the way down the back. It was like looking down at them trains in India where they're just hanging off everything. They're just getting space wherever they can. Yeah. That's exactly what it was like. And I was like, this isn't going to work. I couldn't breathe with the heat. That's how bad it was.
Jesus.
Started profusely sweating straight away.
So the show started?
The show started at this stage now, and the boys were in, and I was like, Pete came out, and you could tell the heat. It was hard to think. Now the show was going grand, but the energy was being sapped out of us. First half went swimmingly. Martin went out then, and he played his music, straight into the music, and he made a great job of it. But when I went out to sing a song with him before they called the interval, if you rang his shirt, you would have filled a pint of water. He had it half off anyway. It was sweltering. We didn't know what to do. And because it was so hot, everyone had amalgamated at the bar. They were fighting at the bar to get drinks. It was nuts.
And the aircon switched off?
Aircon switched off. And I was like, I said, what the fuck? We went in for the interval. We asked them then, we could see what was happening. People were walloping drink into them. It's about an hour and 50 minutes into the show. People have came already, maybe a bit tipsy. They're walloping drink into them. They're going to get rowdy. They're going to get cranky. Everything like that. Went out for the second half. And sure, they'd just gone nuts. They'd gone feral with the heat and the drink. And it was like doing a show on the water. It was torturous. And then you had 5 or 6 hecklers. And then there was about 10 or 12 hecklers because they were shouting back at each other. It was an absolute nightmare. And we'd done the show, done it grand. But there was 3 or 4 lads that just ruined it for everyone. You'd be just about to drop a punchline and they'd throw something up.
Do you deal with the hecklers?
Usually I got down at this particular one. I got down and challenged a group of them. I said, I said, come on up. I actually got down off the stage.
That's how bad. That's the sense of rage.
Pure rage.
Was that this was
at that stage? I was like, if you don't shut up, I will actually pull you up. So we just continued on. We got through it. Usually then we go out and we take pictures and we'll have the crack. We'll have a few pints, whatever. I was so pissed off and angry. I went backstage. The same, and this is the kicker. The same crowd that had ruined the show, the same 2 groups that had ruined the show for everyone, were the ones that were hanging around for pictures. And I was like, no, getting away. And usually I would, but at that stage I was tearing.
Typical.
Yeah. But again, you see, when people are drinking, They think, and I've done it myself.
Yeah,
They think they're adding to the show. They think they're on the same level as you, and you might be funny after 2 or 3 pints, but when you're 8 or 9 pints in, you're not. You don't have the same effect. Yeah, you're just making an ass of yourself. And I've done it before.
Without you realizing you're making an ass of yourself.
Without you realizing, 100%. Now, some people, there's very few people in the world that can have a lot of drink, and French toast is actually one of them.
Yeah.
Have a lot of drink and be beautiful drunk and hilarious, and that's a skill in itself as well. It's something that I don't have, but he definitely has. So. But,
what's next for Stephen Kelly first before we go to 3 books?
The next is a tour of Canada. We were meant to do America, but our visas are going to take longer than we'd hoped. We were meant to be doing it in June, so we're going to postpone that. I love the live shows, and I'll always do the live shows. I would love to develop a kind of an Alan Clark live show, live podcast, and bring on guests like Alan does. And that's how I wanted to. That's what I wanted to do with the show at the very beginning, 2019. I wanted to do, stand up and entertainment, but I also wanted to host shows, a bit like a live version of the Late Late Show.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? But obviously better.
Yeah.
No, that's grand. Paddy Kilty gets an awful lot of abuse. I actually think he's all right.
Careful now, because he might be inviting you on someday.
Well, he might. Paddy might himself, but I can guarantee you, RT will never.
He won't. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what he's up against. But
yes,
you've got
exactly.
the beauty of doing it on your own. You can park that.
And people are giving Patrick Kilty shtick, but it's not Patrick Kilty. It's RT.
Of course. Yeah, he has to go by the script.
100%.
Yeah.
They're owned as well. Trust me.
Of course. So live podcasts.
Podcasts, and live shows. But I would eventually love to get into politics.
Yeah,
I really would. And I'm not.
You do have a strong voice for that, and something 100%.
That and I would do it genuinely. Money is not my goal. It's not my king. It's not my god. As long as the bills are paid and the kids are safe and happy and comfortable.
You can't do both, though, can you? You can't be you can't be the comedian and the TD, can you?
Why not?
Well, I'm asking you.
Oh yeah.
You can?
100%. The only thing is, I know if I became a TD, as much as I'm doing everything I can 24/7 now, I'd want 36 hours in the day. I literally wouldn't go to bed until everything was ticked off on that day. I'd be just all over the gap.
Between
I would,
both? Yeah.
Well, not even just being a TD or a counsellor or everything like that. But I'd like to go straight in, no kissing.
That's
if I was going to go for it at all, because there's no point in me shouting down the screen or the phone or whatever if I don't back it up with action as well. And I do love this country. I love the people in the country, Irish and the non-Irish. I'm not racist. I'm not against people coming in and wanting to make a better life for themselves. Never have been. We've done it ourselves. We've worked hard. We've added to society, but there's a nefarious happenings in the country, in my opinion. At the minute, people are being brought in with nefarious intentions and no intention to even try and fit in. And that's a bugbear of mine, and it's you can see it. You'll see it's kind of happening now. There's a lot of events and there's a lot of happenings and civil unrest, and that's not going to get any easier or better. But I do believe that if any country can pull it back out of the fire, it's this country. I do believe that.
How do you see it going?
I see, first of all, we need some sort of, the problem is we have a very weak government that aren't actually governed. We're being governed by Europe. We have a very weak government with no opposition. We used to have Sinn Féin and a few others, a few strong independents, but they've just weighed in beside. And I don't want to get political. I don't want to get political on another podcast because
it's okay. You can give us a brief insight in terms of where you see things going, because it is something you're passionate about.
100%, and it's genuine passion. I've been accused lately of going down this route to sell tickets for live shows. Trust me, trust me, when I go political, I don't actually. That's when I lose people's, because an awful lot of people are happy with their life. An awful lot of people are happy with their lives as long as it's not affecting them. They just want to have the crack.
That's actually something I thought about when
Yeah.
I was coming up the road. I was thinking that very thing of you putting yourself out there with this political agenda.
It does absolutely nothing for selling tickets.
Yeah, it causes people to turn away.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I could make lovely Creamy Pint videos every day.
Yeah.
I have a Creamy Pint video in my head for the next, I'd say, 30 weeks. I could do one every second day, right? Or I could do memes and shit like that, and they'd all get millions of views, and I'd be selling tickets left, right, and centre, and I'd have loads of views like Gary Noonan and everything like that, because he see what happened. Gary Noonan, as soon as he went political, he got attacked like a dog, and he wasn't used to it. Where I've built up a tolerance and a thick skin, no more than Farmer Michael or people like that. We built up a thick skin. I was actually only saying this to Farmer Michael last night. Because we were having a bit back and forth, and this is just giving an insight into, but it was all crack. It was all crack on online, and he just said to me privately. He said, "You do know that was a bit of crack." I said, "Steve," I said, I'm long enough in the tooth to know what's crack and what's not.
Just in case things can be taken out of context.
Well, that's what he said. He said, just in case. He said, you don't know how people are taking it these days,
especially when it's written down, because you're not.
There's no context out of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's an ability as well to read a text as it was meant.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and people start panicking and being anxious about it, and some people that write it start getting anxious about, oh, I hope they didn't take it up the wrong way. And then they might double down and make it completely shit of it.
Yeah.
Something that wasn't there, and now it's suddenly a big thing.
Do you go through your comments when you put up something like this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because sometimes I set the video on fire with throwing out little things there that I know if a troll puts in something nasty, I will nail them straight away. I have no problem. I won't hide. One fella at 12 o'clock at night, not going to mention any names, he started commenting on one of the videos. It was about Roscommon, actually. All a bit of crack. Like, the whole Roscommon thing is a complete joke.
Of course.
And 99% of the Roscommon people love it. Same as the Cavan people. Same as the Leitrim people. But he started, you really get up my nose and everything like that. And a big long spiel. I said, and then I just comment under it. Just because a lot of people are texting in thinking that I'll never see these. I said, it's probably not the only thing that's been up your nose tonight, right? And next thing, he went off on a real tangent, and he was going to meet me. He said, I'd love to meet you and see exactly as smart as you think you are, and one or two other things. And I said, listen, I said, any day I'm not doing a live show or I've nothing on, I said, I'll be in Swinford. I said, no problem at all. I said, you contact me, and I said, I'll come in and meet you, no problem. And then he was like, well, I'm in South Tipperary or something like that. I said, South Tipperary. I said, brilliant. I said, I'm in Nina on Saturday morning. I said, I'll see you there, 12:30. And it was all big, I'll be there. That was grand. I said, that is no problem. I said, I'll remind you in the morning, because I was just after doing a podcast with Alan Clark.
Yeah.
And I was on my way home. I said, I'll remind you in the morning. But overnight, people were attacking, telling them to cop on.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck like that.
I love that happens. They start,
right.
Other people start fighting for you.
The genuine people know what the crack is.
Yeah.
And they will shut you up as well. But in fairness, about 7:30, he started up again, and I thought he'd either not respond to them or get on or delete it. And he started to respond to them. And in fairness, I said, listen, I said, don't be back and forth among yourselves. I said, we'll meet 12:30 in Nina on Saturday morning. And he was all gun for it. And about an hour and a half later, then the whole thread was gone, completely deleted. But I wasn't going having it. I wasn't going having it. So I had a screenshot, because I knew where this is going. I knew eventually it'd be deleted. I had it screenshotted, so I knew who it was. And I went in and I commented on one of their pictures. Just a trivial picture. There was a couple of pictures of family groups and everything like that. But I was a picture of Roscommon or something, Roscommon football team or something. Even though he was living in Tipperary, he was a Roscommon man, because I seen a picture of him with a Roscommon jersey on him. And again, I'm not going to mention any names. And I said, what happened to the thread on the 3 Books Left page? I said, Facebook must have deleted it. I said, they're terrible for that these days. And I said, I'm just checking in to make sure that you're going to be there at 12:30. And I'd say he fell through the floor when he read it. But in fairness, he said, I'll be there at 12:30. And he said, and there'll be no trouble. And I said, that's fine. And I would have met him. And I would have had a coffee with him. And whatever he wanted to talk about, absolutely no problem. I will not back away.
That's the big thing this country's lost, isn't it? Just being open about a conversation, having the ability to express each other's opinions without feeling attacked.
Just because you think you're right doesn't mean that the other person is wrong.
Yeah, of course.
And everyone has a right to their opinion, and they might have an angle where you didn't see.
Of course.
But people want to be so right that they cannot think outside the box. And then if you are wrong, or maybe that you mightn't even be wrong, but you didn't have that
the full context or whatever.
Or context of it. There's no harm in thinking differently. And then if you arrive back at your own thinking at the end of the day, which you more than likely will, because that's just the way humans are, but that doesn't mean that the other person is completely wrong either. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to be wrong, or they're not trying to be right. We'll all love to be right,
of course.
And another comeback is, I could agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong.
Yeah. Fair point. So coming up next is the Canada shows. And you've got shows in Ireland as well.
We have a show that's sold out in the Shanty in Tipperary. Not Tipperary, Kilkenny. South Kilkenny. It's on the Waterford border. It's a beautiful venue. We done it, it's not a year ago. I'd say it was during the summer last year, or even late summer. So it's not so long ago. Completely sold out. A beautiful, beautiful venue. If you can get to a show in the Shanty, please do. It's in the middle of nowhere. Well, not in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere, but there's no town around it. It's a country venue, and you wouldn't even know it's there. But when you open the door, it's just a spectacular, beautiful, especially for comedy or podcasts. It's completely beautifully laid out for it. We're just after doing the Cask in Limerick, one of my favourite venues in the country, because we get so well looked after. They're so lovely down there. And then we have a show in Belfast, and we need to announce more shows in Ireland, which we will.
Okay.
But it's no harm in doing other countries. So kind of, because we've really super saturated Ireland. We've done something like Cork, we've done to death. I'd say we've done about 20 shows in about 18 months. So
all right.
All over Cork. The only thing, Cork is huge.
Spoiling them. Yeah. And for anyone listening who wants to find you, reach out to you. Anyone that hasn't found you yet?
Well, maybe it might be a good thing that they don't find me. $3 left. TikTok. I hate TikTok. Being famous on TikTok is like winning money Monopoly. It's not worth it.
I hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's great for getting your face out there. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. I've also opened up a YouTube page, because I do actually want to start doing back to podcasts again.
Excellent.
It won't be recorded. It'll be mostly live. And then maybe a couple of recorded ones in between with special guests and whatnot. But that's definitely an avenue I want to go down. I love doing.
As in, you'll be hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So we done it before. We done it over lockdown. We got some brilliant guests on. We had Killian Doris.
Oh, you did with
Chris and Pete during lockdown.
That's right. I remember seeing a few of them.
Yeah. But we didn't have the right equipment really.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
you do need to be very disciplined and structured when you're doing these things, as you know yourself. You're doing a fantastic job yourself. So
thank you, Stephen. And until part 3.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fair play. This was a brilliant conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.